Today I'm going to start making some seed starting mix so I can get my seeds started. It's already the end of January, and around 1st February I need to start onion seeds. The seed starting I make is a 4-ingredient. The primary ingredient is coconut coir, which I buy in these 11-pound blocks, and I cut off a portion of this and soak it in water to loosen it, and then it's ready to go. Second ingredient is standard perlite. Perlite loosens the soil and it makes it drainable so that it doesn't stay wet, the seeds don't drown. It greatly reduces damping off problems. A third ingredient is vermiculite. Vermiculite is the opposite of perlite in that it retains moisture and keeps the soil moist. So it helps the roots get through. This is a fine vermiculite, not a coarse, which allows the seeds to penetrate through it. The fourth ingredient, which I haven't mentioned yet, is worm castings. Worm castings offer a lot of benefits to the seed starting mix. It adds organic matter and it adds a lot of microbial life. Makes the nutrients available to the seedlings when they get growing. I will also add another magic ingredient, and I call it's Azomite rock dust, but there's not much of that. There's about a half a cup or so. One of the debates on seed starting mix is whether to use coconut coir or peat moss. I prefer coconut coir for two reasons. One, it's a finer texture. Seeds can penetrate it easier than peat moss, which is very coarse and often chunks of it in there. The other thing about the coconut coir is that it rapidly absorbs water and it retains the water, where peat moss, if it's allowed to dry out, it becomes hydrophobic and will not accept water, and hot water runs off and it's hard to get seeds watered against once it dries out. So I prefer coconut coir to get them started. So what I need to do now is cut off a block of this coconut coir and get it in a bucket of water and get it soaking, and then I'll get started with the seed starting mix. So I'll post that as an addition to this video. When I made this section of the video showing the ingredients, I didn't include the worm castings, so I'll add a little short section of it right here. These are the worm castings I used. They were from a local worm farm just about 20 miles from us. Unfortunately, last winter he decided to retire and he sold his business, all the equipment and the worms, and they were moved to a company out of state, so they're no longer available. But these were really excellent worm castings, and I liked that they were locally made, and I saw the operation, but won't be getting any more of them. However, worm castings are generally available through the big box stores, and you can find fairly good quality ones. So these are very important to add to your seed starting mix. Okay, I cut off a section of that big block, and I have it here ready to put water on, moisten it, and enlarge it. This should make about 6 quarts. I don't know if it shows in the video, but this is placed in layers on here and compressed, and it'll come off the same way. So I'll start this in the bucket. I'll put in about a gallon of water, and we'll let her soak and get the coir going. If you use warm water for this, it soaks in a lot faster and makes the loosens the coir a lot faster. This is just room temperature water. It's already starting to come apart. It's just a matter of loosening this. There's chunks in here which have to come apart yet. It looks like I may need just a little more water. A gallon was apparently not enough. Need to sift through it and make sure it's all broken up and loosens. When we measure these parts, these 4 parts, we want them in equal parts, and it's important to have this core loose so it measures the same as the other ingredients. Okay, this is nice and loose. There's a couple small chunks here which will soon be absorbed. This is what the coconut core looks like after the block of it is moisturized and it's shredded out. And you'll see it's a much finer grain than peat moss is, which is good for the seeds. They can grow the roots down into it much easier. So we have the coconut core ready to go. And of course the perlite and vermiculite worm castings were already all ready to go. So we'll get this started on making the seed starter mix. Okay, we've got all the ingredients ready. I have this storage tote here that I'm going to put it in, and the nice thing about that is that when I'm ready to plant seeds, I can take out what I need and moisten it, leave the rest of it stored in there for the next time. So we'll get this started. We're going to use 3 parts of coconut core. You can use any size container you want. I happen to be using this yogurt container, which is 40 ounces, which is just over a quart. So I'll have 3 of these, about 3 quarts of coconut core. There's 2. That's 3. Now we'll add 1 part of perlite, and then we'll add 1 part of vermiculite. That's the perlite. This is the vermiculite, and again, this is fine vermiculite, not the coarse. Seeds need this finer vermiculite to get the roots through it. Now I'll get 1 container of worm castings, which are stored in a large bag over here. This is the worm castings. They're a very fine black worm casting vermicompost. So now we have 3 parts of Coir, 1 part of Perlite, 1 part Vermiculite, 1 part of worm castings. The last thing I'm going to add is some Azomite. Azomite is a very fine powder, and I need about a half a cup of this. And all this does is add minerals, excuse me, add minerals to the build, and the roots can use those minerals for building their stems. Okay, that's all of the ingredients that go in here. Now we need to mix this up. I had to pause the video just for a second to rearrange things. So now we get these all mixed up. There we have a very fine seed starting mix. It'll be easy to get seeds started in that, and they'll grow beautifully. The worm castings will add organic matter and microbial life, which will make them really grow. So next week, I'll be ready to start my onion seeds.